Namaste and welcome, beloved mighty companions. Thank you for joining us in the celebration of the love that we are. It's very unusual. I can feel it because we usually have a Spanish translator. And tonight we don't have one. So I will do my best to remember to ask Jesus to speak slowly. Oh my goodness. Oh, Jesus. Okay, shall we go directly to heaven and not wait? Oh my gosh. So much holiness. Here you go, Jesus. Let me set him up here. Every one of these things, I see it's always for me. I'm grateful for all of you who come. That's for me too, for the healing of my mind, the commitment that you bring. Because we're here to inspire each other, to support each other in the truth of God's love within, and to cease to deny it, and to stand shoulder to shoulder and with a commitment to see the truth. And that's what it takes. When he says, I am determined to see that lesson, I had no idea how much determination it would take. Just more determination than I ever thought. I had read this quite a long time ago. Let's see if I can find it here. In the book of Urantia. This is not meaning for you to go find the book of Urantia. It's just to contemplate this statement in that text. This is Jesus speaking to the disciples. No armies of the world have ever displayed more courage and bravery than will be portrayed by you and your loyal successors who shall go forth to all the world, proclaiming the good news, the fatherhood of God and the brotherhood of men. Courage of the flesh is the lowest form of bravery. Mind bravery is of higher value, is a higher type of human courage, but the highest and supreme is uncompromising loyalty to the enlightened convictions of profound spiritual realities. When he says takes a profound courage, it's a profound courage, but so worth it. Because we're so used to playing weak. That's why it takes courage. It takes nothing to be who you are, because you're already who you are. Now we have to use his guidance to lead us out of our own self-delusion. It's been really interesting seeing the reflections in consciousness around following Jesus and talk to Jesus, and somebody telling me this week, I'm worshiping Jesus. I don't know what worship is anymore. But I do know a good deal when I see one. As soon as I realized that the best deal going is to follow that voice out of the state of delusion. And then when he takes you out of delusion and then because you followed him to cease to deny yourself, and then you're in that celebration. You can't explain it. It's not going to be, I can say whatever he tells me to say, but it's always for me. It's been very touching me in the heart to contemplate with Jesus. Like if he gives a title, okay, here's what the satsang is this week. And Mary says it so well all the time that Jesus then orchestrates, and all these things happen to support. And then you look at this, am I willing to do whatever you ask? And it's a celebration on the inside. And it was so to contemplate that with him, and just the love in that. But the whole thought system is to see that is the shields are up on the Star Trek Enterprise, if you know that futuristic program that's been around for 50 years. They always have shields up. If the enemy seems to come, and the sirens start blaring, wah, wah, wah. To block it. To block an enemy. And in this case, in the play of consciousness, God is the enemy. It's profound. In order for consciousness to play this game, God has to be the enemy. Okay, we will try that. Sandra, gracias. She's going to take a shot at the translation.
Yes, okay, I will try it.
Okay, let's all, we're going to put, okay.
Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, and perfectly. And we're going to all put it out to the Holy Spirit that we know he will guide Sandra in her willingness to serve. Gracias. Would you like to translate that?
Okay. Yes, well, my internet is not so good, but I will try it. I think I'm understanding you.
Okay.
Okay. So.
And also, if you have the subtitles, they may help some too.
Well, I couldn't find the subtitles, but
okay.
I will try. Okay.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Okay, Jesus, here we go.
Bueno, Jesús, aquí vamos.
It's love, Sandra.
Es amor, Sandra. Sí.
It's a love offering from you to your brothers.
Es el amor que tú ofreces a tus hermanos.
And she understands English very well. How beautiful.
Y entiendes muy bien el inglés, qué bonito.
But what happens is that there's an idea that when we step into our function, when he asks us to do something.
Sorry, could you please
well,
say
Jesus will
shortly?
ask us, he'll ask us to do things, right? He'll say, here's your assignment.
Okay, so Jesús nos dice que hagamos algo, ¿no? Nos dice, bueno, aquí está tu tarea, lo que tienes que hacer.
but it's, if you notice in A Course in Miracles,
Si lo miras en el curso de milagros,
that right after he says, you can do anything I asks,
cuando él dice que tú puedes hacer cualquier cosa que él te diga.
he says, and I have asked you to perform miracles.
Sorry, I lost the last
Okay.
thing.
Yes. So if you can be as close to your router, that could help a little bit. But okay. So what I said was right after he says, you can perform miracles, or you can do anything I ask you. He says, I'm asking you to perform miracles.
Lo que dice es que él está pidiendo que, que actuemos, que hagamos los milagros, que llevemos a cabo los milagros.
When he asks you to do something, he's pointing you to the miracles you need to perform.
Cuando él te pide que hagas algo, él te direcciona a los milagros que debes, que necesitas hacer.
So the assignments, the ego is fighting, it thinks it's fighting the assignments, but it's really objecting to the miracles.
Eh, el ego tiene tiene una pelea como con
No.
las asignaciones que tenemos, pero lo que realmente debemos hacer es llevar a cabo los milagros.
So it seems like, some kind of upset comes up or something when you're given an assignment.
Es, es algo que sentimos como una molestia cuando sabemos que tenemos una tarea para hacer.
But it's the objection. It's not about the assignment. It's about the objection to the miracle.
Pero la objeción que ponemos no es acerca de la tarea, sino es una objeción que ponemos frente al milagro.
So he's telling us miracles are natural and corrective.
Él nos dice que los milagros son naturales y correctivos.
So when we ask Jesus, am I willing to do everything you ask of me?
Cuando tenemos la voluntad de preguntar a Jesús, ¿qué
And you
debemos
say,
preguntar?
okay, it's a good thing to be honest with yourself about. Am I willing to do whatever it takes to see the truth?
Debemos ser muy honestos con lo que vamos a preguntar. ¿Tengo la voluntad de llegar a la verdad?
Because that's what it's going to take, is a full commitment to see the truth.
Porque eso es lo que vamos a hacer, nuestra voluntad de llegar a la verdad.
Because the commitment isn't to something out there. I mean, it seems at first you're committed to God and his kingdom.
Sorry, no. Could you repeat it, please? The last one.
It seems like, you're committed to something out there like God and his kingdom. It's out there and I'm committed to it.
Si pareciera que eso es algo como el reino de Dios es algo afuera, pero no lo es.
But ultimately you'll see it's for me. It's to stop denying myself what the Father has already given me.
Pero en últimas, no es afuera, sino está adentro. Es lo que debemos buscar. Bueno, I lost the last, the last
Okay,
word,
it's for
sorry.
me, it's for us to see that we're denying ourselves the kingdom of heaven.
Es para nosotros mirar que estamos negando el reino de Dios, el cielo en nosotros.
Okay, it again, at first it seems like it's something out there, but ultimately as you turn in, you realize God is within
Pare-
you.
Pareciera que es algo que está externo a nosotros, pero realmente es algo que está dentro de nosotros.
So every lesson,
Entonces, cada
course
lección,
lesson, every time you
cada,
talk to Jesus,
cada vez que hablamos con Jesús,
every time you're referring back to the God within you.
cada vez que nos referimos, cada vez que nos acercamos a Dios dentro de nosotros,
Jesus is the reminder of the God within you.
ese es el recordatorio, el recuerdo de Dios dentro nuestro.
You know, and again, there have been, a lot of arguments. Is it the Holy Spirit? Is it Jesus?
De nuevo nos preguntamos, ¿es el Espíritu Santo Jesús?
You do well listening to either one because they're both going to tell you the same thing.
Podemos escuchar a cualquiera de los dos porque los dos están hablando lo mismo.
It's just that with Jesus, you can have a fireside chat and get him to explain everything to you, which is very helpful.
Con Jesús podemos tener como una especie de charla donde Él nos explica las cosas más claramente y es muy divertido también.
And those of you in the light circles know this because when you're hearing him, he's pointing to here's where you have the world upside down. When you start really listening,
Y cuando nos unimos en los círculos de luz podemos escucharlo más claramente, en su luz podemos escucharlo.
that is so valuable.
Es muy, tiene mucho valor esto.
If you can just look at it, okay, I'm confused, neutral, I'm confused.
Si solo pudiéramos ver esto de una manera neutral y aceptar que estamos confundidos.
My wires are crossed in there somewhere. I'm just confused.
Es solo como aceptar
The
esto, que
reason,
estoy
the reason,
realmente confundido.
the reason I'm saying that is because what the ego loves nothing. It loves to judge your judging.
La razón por la que digo esto es porque el ego ama que quiere que amemos nuestros juicios.
It's I judged and then I'm wrong and what does that mean and this.
Es como el juicio y que quedarnos en lo que significa esto o aquello.
No judgment, just I'm confused, help me Jesus.
Entonces solo debemos aceptar, estoy confundido, ayúdame Jesús.
And I just mentioned this earlier today.
Esto lo mencioné más temprano hoy.
I could see how my mind switched over from Jesus is optional. Jesus.
Puedo ver cómo mi mente, como hace un switch, eh, eh, yéndome hacia la opción de Jesús.
Okay. From Jesus being optional to, oh my gosh, I am not getting out of hell without him.
Cuando toma Jesús como opcional, veo, hay los de last sentence
I'm not getting
que
out of hell without his help. I'm going to be stuck in here.
sí, no puedo lograr nada sin su ayuda, estaré estancado.
And then he became mandatory in my mind.
Y luego él llegará como a mi mente como un mandato.
You know, it was top priority. It has to get to the point where this is your top priority.
Es nuestra más alta prioridad, llegará como nuestra más alta
That
prioridad
doing
en
what,
nuestra mente.
that following guidance is your number one priority.
Seguir su guía debe ser nuestra prioridad número uno.
The ego doesn't want to hear that because it wants autonomy.
El ego no quiere esto porque él quiere su autonomía.
It's not going to want to join those Sunday night guidance sessions.
Es como así como no queremos unirnos en las sesiones de los domingos en las noches.
Pardon me just a minute. And the ego is going to scream at that.
Y el ego va a gritar esto, a gritarnos esto.
No, her.
It does not want, the ego does not want following that voice to be number one priority.
El ego no quiere seguir esta voz que debe ser nuestra prioridad número uno.
And the deeper you go into the mind and be coached by him to miracles,
Y entre más profundo vamos en la mente siguiendo su guía en el milagro, los milagros,
is how ridiculously deceptive the ego is.
es, sorry, could you please repeat
How
it?
the ego is very deceptive.
El ego no, I don't know this word.
The
Sorry.
ego is a deceiver. It deceives, deception.
Ah, ya, ok, yes. Entonces el ego se siente como decepcionado con esto.
And
Es
without,
realmente engañoso.
Es engañoso. Ah, ok. Gracias. Sí. El ego es engañoso con esto, sí.
and the thing about it is, if you won't know when it is, you will not know when it's deceptive. You won't.
El asunto es que no sabemos eh, cuándo aceptar esto.
Okay.
No lo sabemos.
it's not possible for you to know when the ego is deceptive. You just aren't going to catch it.
Es posible
No
que
es
sepas cuando el ego es engañoso. Simplemente no lo vas a entender.
Okay. So we need him. Go ahead, Sandra. We need him we've got to trust him because he's going to know when it's deceptive.
lo necesitamos a él porque eh, sorry, de la semana.
Jesus is the one who knows when the ego's being deceptive. That's why you have to follow him.
Sí,
Jesús es quien
Jesús sabe
cuando
cuándo.
el ego está.
Okay, go ahead.
Sí, Jesús es quien sabe cuando el ego es engañoso, por eso es que debemos seguir a Jesús.
So there
En
isn't
que
any other way around it. You have to trust first. There isn't.
debe haber otra manera y debemos para conseguir esto y debemos confiar en esto primero.
Because when you put your trust out first, you're putting your trust in all that you are as given by God.
Porque cuando ponemos nuestra confianza primero, entonces confiamos en todo lo que es Dios, todo lo que Dios nos da.
Trust is a demonstration of your courage and your strength.
La confianza es la demostración de nuestro coraje, nuestra valentía y nuestra fuerza.
Okay, and it seems the ego will make it, oh, I'm stepping into the unknown.
Y pareciera que el ego nos dice, no, estamos pisando en algo desconocido.
No, you're stepping into the only thing that's real.
Y realmente estamos pisando en lo que realmente es real.
Oh, this is so cool. What are you saying? Every time you step in, you're stepping and accept the assignment, you're stepping into infinite.
Cada vez que pisamos ahí, pisamos en lo infinito. Cada vez que nos paramos ahí, nos paramos en lo infinito.
You're stepping into seeing what's true.
Nos paramos en reconocer lo que es verdad.
And you're reconfirming your power to perform miracles.
Y nos reconforta mucho llevar a cabo los milagros.
You're reaffirming, you're confirming your power to perform miracles.
Nos reafirmamos en el poder de llevar a cabo los milagros, de hacer los milagros.
That's all he's ever asking is to do what's natural, which is to accept a miracle.
Lo único que él nos pide, que es muy natural, es pedir por los milagros.
But the ego is so involved with what it does.
Porque el ego está es muy envolvente en lo que él hace,
Where it goes.
a donde él va.
If I go here, I will be happy.
Si yo voy a este lugar, entonces seré feliz.
If I go there, I won't be happy.
Si yo voy allá, no seré feliz.
If I go in a different place, then I am going to lose something.
Si voy a un lugar diferente, entonces perderé algo.
You don't have to go anywhere to get a miracle now.
Y no tenemos que ir a ningún lugar para tener un milagro ahora.
That said,
Lo que es
get your miracle now,
tener nuestro milagro ahora
and then go where he tells you to go to get your next miracle.
y luego ir al lugar donde Él nos diga a conseguir otro milagro.
It is a miracle treasure hunt.
Es un cazador de milagros, de tesoros de milagros.
Okay, I'm having a talk with Jesus because it doesn't feel like a treasure hunt, but it is.
Bueno, vamos a tener una conversación con Jesús porque no pareciera que es una cacería, como una casa de tesoros de milagros.
because
¿Por qué?
because the ego's plan is that when God asks you to do something, to say no to the ego, that is hell.
Porque, sorry.
Because
Yes,
because the
porque,
ego interprets it
porque el ego interpreta
that when you follow the spirit,
que cuando tú sigues al espíritu,
you're going to hell.
vas al infierno.
It's really helpful to recover from that delusion.
Es muy útil como salir de esta ilusión.
Here, another quote from the book of Urantia.
Otra cita del libro de Urantia.
Forget not,
No olvides,
it is your personal faith in the exceedingly great and precious promises of God
no, sorry, I cannot get it in a long
It is
sentence.
your personal faith
Es tu batalla personal
in the exceedingly great and precious promises
en su preciosa promesa, algo así,
okay, of God that ensures your becoming
de Dios, de que te asegure que vendrá,
partakers of the divine nature. That's a difficult word.
yes.
That
Al-
you
la divina.
accept divine nature fully.
Ok, que aceptamos seguir nuestra divina naturaleza.
If then the Spirit dwells within you, if the Spirit
Siendo
dwells within you, I'll simplify it.
así, el espíritu, the spirit, what? Sorry.
If the Spirit dwells within you,
El espíritu dentro de ti. Okay.
now I lost my place. You are no longer bond slaves of the flesh. You are no longer a slave of flesh,
Nunca, no serás más un esclavo de la carne,
but free and liberated sons of the Spirit.
pero serás libre y te liberarás.
The greatest challenge
El más grande desafío
is the belief that we're free now.
es creer que somos libres ahora.
Okay? We don't see where we're the puppet.
Nosotros no vemos que somos la marioneta.
Okay? See the little puppet over here on the right?
Podemos ver esta marioneta en este momento a la derecha.
Yes, on the right. Okay? And it's
Justo a la
going,
derecha.
it thinks it's free,
Y cree que es libre,
but it's everything it does is being on the strings of the ego.
pero todo lo que él hace está manejado por las cuerdas del ego.
Unless you follow Jesus, you are a slave.
A no ser de que sigamos a Jesús, seremos esclavos.
And then it complains, the puppet complains.
Y entonces la marioneta, el
It's
títere, se
always,
quejará.
it's always saying, this world, it's terrible.
Siempre está diciendo, este mundo es terrible.
I don't want pain and suffering.
No quiero más dolor y sufrimiento.
Yet we're discovering if you go with Jesus, he'll show you how much you love it.
Y cuando descubrimos que seguir a Jesús, encontraremos cuánto amor hay ahí.
And that unless you're perfectly peaceful and happy,
De otra manera no estaremos perfectamente en paz y felices.
okay, then you believe there's heaven in hell.
Entonces creemos que el cielo está en el infierno.
It's so humbling.
Es muy humano.
When you get there and you know, and then, and I know many of you have had this experience.
Cuando tenemos esto, bueno, y sabemos que muchos de nosotros hemos tenido estas experiencias.
And then you realize, oh my God, I love hell. I mean, I just love this. I love hell.
Y nos damos cuenta de esto, de que, oh Dios mío, yo amo el infierno, realmente amo el infierno.
And at first it's not funny.
Y al principio no es divertido,
But you'll see if you keep looking, then you see that if you take it all the way, see, it's not funny unless you've taken it all the way. See
pero,
it.
pero si nos mantenemos mirando, nos damos cuenta que no es divertido.
And then it's ridiculously funny because you see you chose it and you don't need to choose it anymore.
Que es ridículamente divertido porque lo estamos escogiendo y después no queremos escogerlo más.
You see that you're deranged. You're deranged. You're crazy, loco.
Y nos damos cuenta de que estamos locos.
But see, instead the ego fights it and it defends it. And it just,
Pero en vez de esto, el ego se defiende, pelea, bueno.
okay, it fights it. It fights and defends against seeing this is chosen.
Y pelea y se defiende y defiende lo que ha elegido ver.
And one of the biggest hurdles to get over
Y es una de las más grandes tareas para sobreponerse.
The biggest challenges
Uno de los más grandes desafíos.
is stop making Jesus your enemy. Stop.
Paremos de, paremos de estar poniendo a Jesús como nuestro enemigo.
You know, I get it. I cursed him out a lot. I might curse him out every now. Who knows going forward? But
I didn't get it.
I just, you might curse Jesus out. I've done it. I've cursed Jesus out plenty.
Okay. Didn't get it.
Maldecirlo.
Ah, ok, sí. Más decirlo.
Okay. I've
Yo creo
gotten mad at him and you're screwing me, Jesus, that kind of thing. You screw.
que me vuelvo loco y
If someone was asking why, you have to forgive Jesus on the forum, it's in A Course in Miracles.
si alguien te pregunta por qué debo perdonar a Jesús en la forma,
Because
en el
you
curso,
think he's your enemy. He's your enemy. I
pues
know.
porque pienso que es mi enemigo, por eso creo que debo perdonarlo.
But he's the best partner ever.
Es el mejor compañero que podemos tener.
But he's all he can do. All he can do
Él es todo lo que podemos hacer.
is point out where you're delusional. That's all. That's all.
Él nos muestra claramente dónde está la ilusión.
Jesus, do you have any other function than pointing out where I'm delusional?
Pues tienes cómo mostrarme específicamente cómo me puedo desilusionar.
Can, do you do anything else other than show me that I am crazy?
Puedes mostrarme algo diferente que mostrarme que estoy loco.
All he does is show you where you're crazy so you can stop doing that to yourself. That's all.
Todo lo que él nos puede mostrar es que estamos locos.
So he says, okay, look here in your mind, this spot.
Él dice, ok, mira justo en tu mente, en este camino.
Here's where you need a miracle.
Aquí es donde necesitas un milagro.
Here's the miracle you need to perform.
Este es el milagro que necesitas hacer.
Here's where
Actuar.
you don't want the miracle.
Aquí es donde tú no quieres el milagro.
That was, that got to me my favorite part when I saw I didn't want one shred of any miracles.
Esa era mi parte favorita cuando no quería ver los milagros. Algo así.
Fighting Jesus is only going to make your time miserable. That's all.
Pelear con Jesús es lo que nos hace ser miserables.
By saying you can do anything I ask,
Y decir que
when Jesus says you can do anything I ask,
Cuando Jesús dice, tú puedes hacer,
He's reminding you of your divine power.
que yo te diga, entonces te está recordando de tu divino poder.
That you have all the power to choose differently.
Que tenemos todo el poder de elegir de una manera diferente.
Jesus neither gives you miracles nor denies you miracles.
Jesús ni te, ni te ofrece los milagros, ni te los niega. No, oh, sorry, I lost it.
Jesus cannot
I
give
lost
you
it.
miracles. Jesus does not give you miracles.
Jesús did not give you miracles, you say?
He does not give you miracles.
Jesús no te da milagros.
Okay? He doesn't prevent miracles.
Prevent?
Jesus does not prevent miracles.
No, sorry, I lost it. I lost the last two words. Sorry.
Jesus does not give you miracles nor prevent you from having them.
Ah, ok, prevent, ya, ok.
No te darán.
Yes, él no te, él no te niega que tengas los milagros. Ni te da ni te niega que tengas los milagros. Algo así.
He can only tell you where you need them
Solamente te puede decir dónde los necesitas.
because the miracles are already yours
Porque los milagros ya son tuyos.
if you're willing to accept them.
Y tienes la voluntad de aceptarlos.
So he's pointing out where you don't want them.
Él te muestra claramente dónde tú no los quieres.
And he can help you see your mixed up thinking, how you're thinking wrong and not choosing your miracle.
Y él solo te muestra que estás eligiendo equivocadamente y no aceptando el milagro.
But we're so used to sacrifice and it's going to be a sacrifice.
Estamos muy acostumbrados al sacrificio, a que debemos sacrificarnos.
That is the biggest trick in consciousness. That's the big game.
Es el más grande truco de la conciencia, es un gran juego.
He can only point out where you need to accept your power.
Él solo nos muestra específicamente dónde aceptar este poder.
To cease to deny yourself the kingdom of heaven.
Ver dónde negamos nosotros el reino del cielo.
So there are a couple of valuable things that we can learn about the tricks of the ego.
Entonces, los, lo que debemos ver acerca de los trucos del ego, algo valioso que debemos ver acerca de los trucos del ego,
First, if you're angry or upset,
primero, si estás molesto o
do not,
enojado,
the ego loves living inside of that.
al ego le encanta vivir dentro de esto.
Okay? Learn it's a trick to distract you from looking underneath it. It's protecting something.
Hay que mirar lo que hay debajo de esto porque está protegiendo algo.
So you can learn to that as soon as you see that, it's like, no, I'm going to look under it.
Hay que mirar precisamente que nuestra decisión de que no quiero mirar debajo de esto.
The fastest way through these things is to turn and look, partner up, join. I'm going to look.
Lo primero que debemos hacer es mirar esto, unirnos para mirar debajo de esto.
That's what he's pointing to us as our power to turn and look to change our mind.
Aquí es donde se nos enfatiza en el poder de mirar en este lugar que está por debajo.
The other thing is to learn the trick words of the ego.
La otra cosa es mirar los trucos que usa el ego.
And one of them is the word sacrifice.
Y uno de ellos es el aprender lo del sacrificio.
Sacrifice and loss.
Sacrificio y pérdida.
So the trick that has to be learned that if you use those words, I'm going to have sacrifice or loss.
Entonces el truco es mirar estas cosas de sacrificio y pérdida.
Then notice that it's a future. That's how the ego, I'm going to be losing something when I follow Jesus. It just made sacrifice seem like something in the future.
No, sorry, so long. Sorry. Could you please say it shortly?
It makes sacrifice seem like something in the future.
Pareciera que el sacrificio tiene que ver, el sacrificio tiene que ver con el futuro.
So instead of saying, I'm going to sacrifice, say, I'm sacrificing, I like it because I like it right now.
En vez de decir yo me sacrifico, pues puedo decir me gusta porque me gusta esto, me gusta el sacrificio justo ahora.
I like the feeling of sacrifice.
Me gusta el sentimiento del sacrificio.
See that? Because the ego goes, okay, I'm going to sacrifice because.
Porque el ego dice, bueno, me voy a sacrificar porque.
No, it's saying no to following so it can keep the feeling of sacrifice right now and relish it.
Lo que hay que hacer es mantener el sentimiento del sacrificio justo ahora. Y
So when I use every experience is a desired experience.
Cada experiencia es una experiencia deseada.
I'm upset.
Estoy molesta.
I desire the feeling of feeling upset.
Yo deseo el sentimiento de sentirme molesta.
I'm unhappy.
Soy infeliz.
I desire a feeling of unhappiness.
Yo deseo el sentimiento de la infelicidad.
I'm gonna sacrifice.
Yo quiero sacrificarme.
I desire a feeling of sacrifice.
Yo deseo el sentimiento del sacrificio.
If you can take that home, like, and really get and instead of putting it out there in the future or somewhere else, and just realize that trick that it is a desired experience to have it right now.
Sí, podemos poner esto en el lugar, que es en vez de proyectarlo en el futuro, pensando que en el futuro me voy a sacrificar, hay que verlo justo ahora, sentirlo justo ahora.
Okay, so you don't need to feel it right now. You just need to know that you're making it happen right now.
Ah, ok. No, no necesitamos el sentimiento de ahora, sino solamente darnos cuenta de que está sucediendo justo ahora.
Because the ego lives inside of thoughts and feelings. It loves those. It wants thoughts and feelings.
Porque el ego vive dentro de los sentimientos y los pensamientos.
And if you can learn the trick that you're generating every feeling you ever have.
Podemos mirar el truco de que vivimos en cada sentimiento que tenemos.
Okay, then you can learn that you're not your feelings.
Y aprendemos que, que, que yo no soy el sentimiento.
And you're giving it I give everything I see all the meaning it has for me.
Y tengo que entregar todo, tengo que darme cuenta de todo
I give everything I see.
yo le doy a todo lo que veo, todo el significado que tiene para mí.
Yes,
Sí,
para mí. Totalmente.
para mí.
In other words, are we willing to see that we like giving ourselves hell?
Lo que tenemos que ver es que nos entregamos a nosotros mismos el infierno
And that the way out is to do everything he asks of you.
y lo que y la salida es hacer todo lo que él nos pide que hagamos,
Because what he's asking of you is to perform miracles.
porque lo que él nos pide es que llevemos a cabo los milagros.
It's the universal solution given for an insane world.
Es la solución universal que se ha dado a un mundo demente,
A world of insanity.
um, demente y podrido, algo así.
No, a world, a loco mundo.
Un, sí, un loco mundo.
All right. So that's all that's being fought. It's fighting off the happy laughter. That's it, to see how silly it is.
Es todo por lo que debemos luchar, digamos, ¿no? Darnos cuenta de esto, que tan tonto es, algo así.
No. It's fighting off seeing the truth.
Es esta lucha para ver la verdad.
Until we're following 100%, you're fighting against the truth.
Hasta que vemos un 100% que la pelea es en contra de encontrar la verdad.
Until you're following 100%.
Hasta que lo seguimos en un 100%.
You're fighting against yourself.
Tú estás peleando en contra de ti mismo.
So at first, it is not enthusiastic to go, yes, Jesus, I'll do whatever you ask.
Entonces, al principio no es muy alentador decir, ok, Jesús, voy a hacer todo lo que tú me pides.
Because consciousness it fights miracles. It doesn't want miracles.
Que la conciencia pelea en contra de los milagros, no quiere los milagros.
So following is accepting miracles.
Entonces, seguirlo es aceptar los milagros.
And refusing to follow is denying ourselves miracles.
Y re- em, como negarnos a esto es negar aceptar los milagros.
It's so simple, but we made it so complicated. It's pretty crazy.
Es muy simple, pero lo hacemos muy complicado. Es muy loco.
Do everything he asks and you're free. That's accepting your freedom.
Todo lo que pides es,
Do
es
everything he asks you and do everything
allá.
he asks and that's your freedom.
Todo lo que Él te pide es que te unas a la libertad.
Go where he tells you to go.
Ve a donde Él te diga que vayas.
Say only what he tells you to say.
Di solo lo que Él te diga que digas.
And perform the miracles he asks you to perform.
Y realiza los milagros que Él te pide que realices.
And then when you ask this question,
Entonces, cuando hacemos la pregunta,
Jesus, am I willing to do whatever you ask to heal my mind?
Jesús, tengo la voluntad de
Estoy dispuesto a.
a pe- estoy dispuesto a pedir que cures mi mente, que sanes mi mente.
And you say, and when you just, when the answer to that lives within you,
Cuando preguntamos, sorry, when we
when the
say,
resounding answer of yes lives within you,
eh, cuando escuchamos ese sí dentro de nosotros, cuando resuena ese sí dentro de nosotros.
yes, when it's inside of you and you say yes and you know what that means, that there's just joy in it.
Cuando escuchamos ese sí dentro de nosotros y lo reconocemos, hay mucha alegría, mucha dicha en esto.
Thank you, Jesus.
Gracias, Jesús.
So I'm going to come to our esteemed team here, to all the love that's here, and see if there are any questions about following or
Bueno,
miracles.
si hay alguna pregunta acerca de seguir o escuchar los milagros.
Muy bien. Okay, Mary.
So could you speak to, I noticed that I have this desire not to want to believe that I'm doing this to myself. It's like I really want to put it out there like, oh, well, so-and-so did this, or the sky just fell and I had nothing to do with that. I really don't want to take
Okay,
responsibility.
can you yeah, this is a good question. Will you let Sandra help us with the translation?
Yes, please,
get-
Mary. Could you please say it shortly, like
Yes,
in short sentences?
yes,
Thank you.
I do not want to take responsibility for what happens.
Sí, no quiero tomar responsabilidad por lo que pase.
Mhm.
So we're asking Jesus, how can we see through that?
Entonces pregunta Jesús, ¿cómo puedo ver esto?
Well, I could speak for myself when I saw, okay, there's only light. The holy instant.
Sorry, lo siento.
So I recognize that there is only the holy instant.
Reconozco que solamente existe el instante santo.
Is there two in the holy instant?
¿Hay dos en el instante santo?
Is there something out there in the holy instant?
¿Hay algo afuera en el instante santo?
And everyone should be, checking in for yourself.
Cada uno de nosotros podríamos estar chequeando, chuleando dentro de nosotros.
She's asking an awesome question because this is like the cornerstone of the ego, that there's something out there. This is a trick of the ego, that there's something out there. This is a trick of the ego, that there's something out there. This is a trick of the ego, that there is something out there. This is not translating. Okay. Sandra, are you there?
Tenemos los subtítulos.
Okay, I'm here again. Yes.
Hold on a minute. I have to go take care of something.
Mary, ¿podría repetir la pregunta?
Madre Mary, could you repeat the question?
Mhm. I said that I do not want to take responsibility for what shows up around me.
Le pregunté y dije que no quiero responsabilizarme de lo que sucede a mi alrededor.
Gracias.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, this is, the ego holds on tight to this one.
So, shall I continue? Yes.
Yes, the ego really holds on to the idea that there's something out there.
El ego le gusta aferrarse a la idea de que hay algo afuera.
Something out there doing something to a me. Can you hear me? Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and hope everybody has subtitles. So the ego is an idea that there's more than one, duality.
El ego tiene la idea de que es más que uno, dualidad.
And it likes to blame things. It has to put stuff out there. Okay, I'm just going to, again, I think I want to just go through this, so we're not going to do a translation on this part. I'm just going to share this, okay? And then there is a, yeah, I'll try and, yeah. Okay, so, yeah, so I can complete this, a question. Okay, so the ego is going to insist there's something out there and it's weak and something's happening to you. And it really is a matter of taking responsibility for the mind. And taking back every projection and saying no to it. There's no place else to go. And until you see that you are choosing it, he gives you the miracle to choose and the power to choose to see differently. That is the gift. That you have all the power to see differently. That's where it has to begin. Until you're willing to see that you've chosen all of it. But the ego is going to protect that. It's going to do everything it can to protect from seeing that there's only one and that all the power rests with you to decide not to do this. There just isn't another way than to be willing to see it. When the ego says, I don't want to see it, we have to learn to say, I am going to see it. Because it's going to insist, it's going to try and have its way. Well, we have to accept our power not to accept that. Jesus can only point. We can rely on his strength. Yes, because he knows we've played weak. But the only way through this is to be determined to see the truth. And to be willing, really, I can't find another way, and to do whatever it takes to see it. When beings say it's like 100% in for God and the kingdom, that is what it is. There isn't another way, because everything the ego is doing is to deny that. Every single move it makes. And to have this voice, this incredible voice of A Course in Miracles, show us every place. You can have as many spiritual awakening experiences that can be totally beautiful and see wholeness and talk about wholeness. But if you want what Jesus offers in A Course in Miracles, if that is the call of your heart, and you deserve to know the truth, but it will take the courage, determination, tenacity, trust. Because the faith that you have is in yourself. Faith always points back to you and what you are. And you will have, there's no other way about it. You can ask anyone that's walked the fire. You have to be willing to say no to the beast. Kirsten said it. I had it. Do you know how many times I've had to say no to the ego? Thousands. And every time you follow, you're saying no to the ego. You're accepting divine power. So sometimes the only way through it is, next week's going to be true use of denial, is to say, I do not accept this in my mind. We've talked about decisiveness. I'm going to be decisive. And you cannot know ahead of time. There simply is no way, because of the way it's structured. You can't know what it's going to be like. You can't. It's designed, the great deception is to forget what this communion is. So it will take tenacity and trust and commitment to yourself. There's no one to be committed to. It's commitment. If you can't do anything else, commit to the miracle right now. That's how it plays. It's the game we decided to play, that something's out there and God's going to get me and all of this. So if there's nothing else, get the miracle. That's all we can do. It's just I'm getting the miracle. I'm going to see this differently. And contemplate infinite light. Because the contemplation of infinite light, it is revelatory. Miracles are, but where you just start to see it's not what you think it is. That's why lesson 44, lesson 189. Jesus says it can be startling, infinite, because he knows we're so used to packing ourselves into a body. It's startling to see, oh, there's something here that's infinite. Just, you can do it, Mary. You're going to be determined to see.
I've gotten this far.
Yes. With a lot of determination. It takes a lot of determination and trust to do the level of looking that it takes. I'm just saying. I would be happy for it to be less. And if, by goodness, if you choose the power in your mind first, because we do have the power to go all the way with, one decision. But for whatever reason, that consciousness is addicted to giving itself hell. It's extraordinary, really. There is no other. There isn't an other to do something to someone. There's no God doing something to someone or something. There's consciousness that wanted to play a game of other. Consciousness wants to play the game of other without there being an other. So it dreams of someone to project on. So again, if you can't see, if you're not willing to see that there's no one out there, although you're only going to be ridiculous happy when you see it, then just get your miracles and commit to following, even when you don't know what it's going to go. You don't know anyway. It's so hilarious. We think we know where we're going and what we're doing. That's ridiculous anyway. It's never like you've outpictured it, ever. Who's ever had something show up exactly like they outpictured it? Like you say, Mary, TNT, trust and tenacity. It is grabbing, you got to grab that brass ring. Not you, but we all have to do it. If you want to know the truth of your identity, you've got to be willing to do everything he asks so you can see where you're denying what you're already given. And it does take trust. It does. It takes trust That's why the mighties are so important. But in the play of consciousness, the ego is going to try and divide. Jesus is going to give you the mighties that are going to get you there. And then the ego is going to find a way to not have you go all the way with them. It's going to want to jettison them. It's going to want, David talks, the Hofmeister talks about it. And you start seeing it over and over. He hands you a bunch of mighties with a ticket to heaven. Here's how to get there, the ticket to heaven, but we don't see how much we like hell. That's the only thing that's ever happening, is is liking hell and not wanting to see how much we like it. That's fine. As soon as we decide it's not such a great thing, then we say, okay, I'm not liking that anymore. But I can see a part of the mind has to, this is an advanced yogi talk, by the way. It's really, the mind has to get to the point where it says, whatever's been happening in my life before this has not worked. It has not brought me happiness. If I'm honest, it takes radical self-honesty. And then that's where we need Jesus too, because we don't see where we're not being honest. And Jesus is saying, you're going to have to trust your brother. And the ego does not want to do that. The whole thought to me of turning anything over to anybody else to make a decision, oh my God, that was horrible. But now I see it. If it's given by him, it is the golden ticket out. If you're willing to get the miracles, if you're willing to commit yourself to get every miracle you can get, I'm getting it. I'm changing my mind. I am not tolerating. I will not tolerate this in my mind. It's so helpful. You'll see it. Your power will come in. And you just start to see the thousands of ways the play is to give yourself hell. And you don't deserve it. But it does boil down to, I'm going to taking responsibility for our mind, for watching the mind and saying no to the rat holes of consciousness. I will not dive down that rat hole, no. And it takes a lot of consistency. But I can't say that. I mean, the number of times you'll start to see it. You can see the play in consciousness. You'll get really close to some kind of epiphany. Not you, but the play does. Man, it's like the ego has its sniffer out and it's going to lay out a trip around the world for free for you, so you won't keep looking. Yeah, it'll come up with some juicy tidbit that's so gorgeous, or some spiritual retreat, and it will not be guidance. And as I've said before, when I could see the power that came in my mind at the point where I said, I don't care if I'm paid, $1,000 for non-refundable ticket on a plane. If I find out that that is not in guidance, I'm walking away. That's how definitive and decisive we need to be with this beast. And it like set me free. Because the ego's tricky, it'll do this money game. Like, well, I've already invested my money in that, and so I've got to do it, or Aunt Martha's waiting for me. It's like, I love you, Aunt Martha, but you will be tested by that too. I know it happened to me for sure. The story with my mom where I had to say no to something. But it really is a decision. What do I want? And really, it's like you said, Mary, it's the banks of the river and trusting. Trusting your brother, that he's there to help you get through. If you accept the mighties you're given and you really pay attention, Jesus, are these the mighties I'm to go all the way with? Will this take me to the promised land? And then I could see it. I had to nail my feet to the floor when I wanted to do anything but what was being asked. But I'd ask Jesus, is this most helpful to heal my mind? But all you'll find in that is divine power. Fear will be unknown to you. I mean, it's an idea anyway, but it won't, your life will no longer be ruled by fear. You'll see you don't even know what fear is. It's like, what is that? But you'll see little mind eddies, these little thought circles. Then you just say, okay, I'm generating that. So this is a great question, Mary. But if you're determined to see it, Jesus will show it to you. And you don't have to accept less than seeing that there's nothing out there. He's saying it's a privilege, actually. See, because it's the direct path to happiness. It's the direct path to seeing that this need not be by direct experience. I chose it. I accept that I chose it, but I'm not choosing the rest of it anymore. And it goes right into happiness. As soon as you see it, you start seeing it, you just get happy because oh, I got the power to choose. I don't have to experience fear. I don't have to experience pain. It's like I can see pain was like a given. So many spiritual teachers go, well, you got to have pain. You can wake up and you won't suffer, but you're going to have pain. Well, talk to Jesus. It may appear, but you know what the remedy is for it. Thank you, Jesus. I'm like going to be the cheering squad for anybody who wants to go for it. Your mind will get to the point where you won't understand not going for it. You just won't build it. Like it won't compute. It won't compute that that's your only function. You know, it's like, well, why wouldn't you follow? You can't figure that out. You know, it's like, it's nonsensical. So in a way, in the reflections of the world, it's like, well, you're so heartless, but you're not heartless. You're full of heart. You're full of communion because you see, it's like you're uncompromising for divinity. And then the love shines from the outside, from the inside out, you know, it just, everyone deserves this. I mean, to deserve to see the power they have to change their mind about the world. Amen.
Thank you, Gay.
Okay. Lena, gracias, Mary. Okay, Sandra. Now, this is not a comment that, I mean, you're doing a fine job. I think we're going to need to work on the internet connection. So I think Lena wants to speak. So if you can translate, por favor.
Okay. Yes.
Realmente levanta las manos de amén.
Ay, ¿vuelves a decirlo, por favor,
Sí,
Lina?
que realmente nada más levante las manos para decir amén.
I just really raise my hands to say amen.
Pero voy a aprovechar para hacer un comentario.
But I will make I will say anything.
Make a what?
Un comentario.
Oh, comment. Yes, por
Comment.
favor. Look,
Yes.
Lena's been doing some deep looking. It's good to hear what she has to say from Jesus.
Lina ha hecho una profunda mirada y, y, y tiene una clara comunicación con Jesús.
Después de escuchar esta charla,
After listening this conversation,
puedo ser
speaking,
consciente de que tengo que mantenerme firme, decirle no al ego.
I'm conscious of I need to keep firm in saying no to the ego.
Porque puedo ver cómo me
Ego.
ofrece
Because I can see how he offers me
la rebeldía contra Dios.
the rebel against God.
Rebellion. The offers
Rebellion. The rebellion.
rebellion.
Y también me
Okay.
ofrece que Dios exige mucho.
Entonces, ¿qué, Dios qué?
Me exige mucho.
Exige. And also he offers me that God ask a lot from me.
Pero también puedo ser consciente de que el ego no es lo que me conviene.
But also I can be conscious that the ego is not what is not convenient for me.
El ego es la negación de lo que soy.
Ego is the denial of what I am,
Y eso no es lo que quiero.
and that is not what I want.
Puedo ver que lo que más me conviene es seguir a Jesús.
I can see that is best for me is to follow Jesus,
Sí.
Y que puedo aceptar los milagros.
and that I can accept miracles.
Y sí, bueno, también puedo ver cómo me ofrece mucho la proyección de otros allá afuera.
And also I can see how can I can he offers me the projection of others outside me,
Pero que también siempre tengo el recurso de darme cuenta que todos estamos unidos en la luz.
but also I can see that I have the source of seeing that all are unified by the light,
Y que nada más son
in
trucos
the light.
engañosos, que son trucos engañosos disfrazados del ego.
And there are also tricks, tricky things that ego makes.
Y bueno, doy las gracias por los hermanos poderosos,
I say thank you for all the mighty companion,
porque me señalan el camino una y otra vez.
You're
Que me
muted, Kay.
señalan el camino una y otra vez.
You're muted, Kay.
that
See the way again and again.
Oh, I said she's on the highway to Jesus.
Sigue a Jesús, sigue a Jesús.
follow Jesus, follow Jesus.
Y bueno, la tenacidad, la confianza, el,
To
el,
be the courage, the trust, to have trust in it,
la determinación son importantes. Y la determinación son importantes y estoy firme.
And
the
determination are important, and if I am firm.
Gracias, Jesús.
Sí. Yes. Gracias, Lena.
Compañeros poderosos, gracias.
Yeah, determination is critical. I mean, being determined is, it's just so importante.
Ahí, Rick.
Determination is so important. No, determination. We got to get a better translator. Not meaning you, Sandra. I mean in terms of we're going to get you hooked up, okay? We're going to get you hooked up so you can get the translation. We have another way of translations that we're going to have everybody on too as well if we don't have a translator next time. Can you translate that, Sandra?
Ok, sí, vamos a tener, no es necesario tener un traductor la próxima vez porque podemos usar el traductor digital, digamos, o los subtítulos.
Yeah. So, yeah, you'll have a little more time to play with captions to try to get that working. And we'll see. Jesus should, usually we have a translator. This is pretty unusual. So go ahead, Sandra.
Ok. Sí, pues esto es muy inusual lo que estamos haciendo, pues porque, bueno, hay formas de traducir, hay otras formas de traducir también.
And we'll try and, because it was really good. I can hear that it'd be beautiful for Sandra to do some more translating if she's willing.
Ha sido muy bien, muy bonito haber escuchado a Sandra en esta traducción.
But we'll try and get you set up with, some support for that so you can hear us clearly.
Entonces miraremos otras maneras de traducción que nos puedan apoyar en esto.
So we thank all of you for joining us really in this devotion to truth.
Pensamos en todos ustedes que se unan a nosotros en esta devoción a la verdad.
Everything Jesus says in that book is true.
Todo lo que dice Jesús en este libro es verdad.
So it's a very worthy endeavor.
Es muy, muy valioso
To follow him.
seguirlo a él.
So I'm also hearing that this week, I don't know which days yet, but I'm hearing we will have more light circle meditations.
No sabemos esta semana qué días tendremos nuestros círculos de meditación en la luz.
So we'll keep you posted on that. It might be that they'll be after the light circles, or they might replace the light circles. We'll see what Jesus says.
Vamos a ver en los círculos de luz que lo que dice Jesús.
Oh my gosh, so much love, so much love.
Mucho amor, Dios mío.
The only plan Jesus has for you is
El único
happiness.
plan que Jesús tiene para ti es la felicidad.
Oh my gosh, let's get some music.
Nos damos una música.
Gracias, Jesus.